welcome back, and welcome back. Today we're going to do some freezer meals, okay? This one is going to be my okra soup. You've seen me make this before, but this time I'm going to make it times 3. We're going to put it in the freezer and save it for another day, all right? The okra, 3 bags, because like I said, we're tripling this dish. The carrots, the black-eyed peas. We've got brown rice here. That is 3 cups. I've got 2 whole onions there. I'm using the purple. There's the claw meat, the rosemary, garlic salt, Mrs. Dash, a whole stick of butter, and then we're going to use some tomatoes, and that's 10 Roman tomatoes. Here's your shot, and I will definitely link the recipe for this, well, the actual video that I did for this in the description so that you can see it, where you can actually make it just in a single portion, okay? Let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to melt the butter, and this is a big pot. As you can see, it's a big one. So we're going to go ahead and melt this butter first, and once she's melted, we'll go to the next step. All right, we've got all 3 bags of carrots in there, and then that whole bag of onions. And what we're going to do at this point is we're going to go ahead and saute this up for 3 minutes. We're going to go ahead and give it 3 minutes. And then when that's done, we'll go to the next step. And in case I didn't say it, we are cooking this on a medium heat, okay? Whoa. All right. I'll be back. The one thing that I didn't show you that we will be using is 3 cartons of vegetable broth, okay? And then here we go. I've got the okra, the black-eyed peas, the tomatoes. We're going to go in with about, I would say, maybe about 1/3 of a cup, seasoned to your liking, because it's really, I would say maybe about 3 tablespoons. I'm putting in about 3 tablespoons of each. 3 tablespoons, I shouldn't say 1/3 of a cup because that's way too much. 3 tablespoons of dash, 3 tablespoons of garlic, and then 3 tablespoons of the rosemary. And then we're going to go in with all 3 of these cartons. We're going to give it a nice little zhuzh. Let me get these cartons in, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got that crab meat in there as well. I'm just going to kind of break that up. And then we're just going to give this a really nice zhuzh. Mix all that stuff in there. Bring the top to the bottom to the top. Okay, and then we're going to put the lid on. Once we get this all well combined, it's kind of hard to do with one hand, but we're going to combine this all, give it a good zhuzh. And then we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to let her cook for 30 minutes. And we're going to cook it a little longer than I would my single because we've got so much in there. So we're going to let her cook for 30 minutes. And then I'll be back. All right, we've put that rice in there. And then we're just going to mix all this up. Look at that. How delicious does that look? Yum, yum. And she's done. Now we just got to let her cool off. And then we're going to put her in Ziplocs and get her in the freezer. All right, I'll be back. All right, I've got them in the Ziploc bags. You lay them out good and flat. All right, I was able to get 4 out of this one, okay? We got 4 full bags. And feel free to make these bags smaller if you need to, depending on your family. I just write on there, but I should have put the date on there, but I didn't do that. I'll do that later. But here you go. 4 bags of okra soup ready to go in the freezer. All right, let's get to the next dish. All right, here we go with another freezer meal. We're going to make meatballs. Meatballs are very versatile. You can use them in a million ways. Spaghetti and meatballs, sweet and sour. I've got some Asian ones on my channel. I've got quite a few videos for meatballs. There's a billion ways you can make them, but this is just going to be a basic. And then we're going to put these in the freezer. And we can whip them out and just throw barbecue sauce on them. Have them for a party. Anything, okay? So we're going to use breadcrumbs, soy sauce, garlic salt, steak seasoning, Mrs. Dash, Italian seasoning. We're going to use this garlic paste here. We're going to use some onions. That's a cup of onions, a cup of bell peppers, red, yellow, and orange. We've got this ground beef here. And we're going to use some ground pork. And here is what we're going to use to make these delicious meatballs. Let's get cooking. Okay, I did forget to tell you a couple of ingredients. The egg and a little bit of milk. I'm going to say about 1/4 of a cup of milk is what we're going to add to that. And I'm going to put this in the refrigerator, and I'll be right back. Now, one thing I can say about this dish, it is very versatile. There's not a whole lot of ways that you can make this and mess it up. We're going to go in with a couple of tablespoons of each one of these seasonings. I mean, it's really difficult to mess it up. It really, truly is. And we're going to go in with that Italian seasoning. Like I said, a couple of tablespoons of the seasonings is what we're going to put in, as well as the steak seasoning. And remember, you don't know exactly how you're going to do these meatballs, so be mindful of your seasoning, because remember, you can always add to, but you can never take out. That was the steak seasoning. Now this is the garlic salt. We're going to go in with about 3 tablespoons of this soy sauce. Has a salt content to it. Okay. Be mindful of that. And we're going to go in with about 1 cup of breadcrumbs. And that is the Italian, but any breadcrumb will do. We're going to go in with those onions and bell peppers. Remember, I freeze mine, get them home, slice them up, and just get them in the freezer so that they're always waiting for me, and I'm never having to chop up as I go when I'm putting together dishes. And when you're doing freezer meals, they're absolutely perfect. I'm going to go in with a good couple of, I would say maybe a good 3 tablespoons of the garlic paste, because I want the garlicky taste in there. I just don't want the chunks. And you can make your own paste too, but using a little salt, but I don't like to do that. So now we're just going to mix this all up. And then we're going to commence to making some meatballs. And like I said, you can make them a million ways. I've done some sweet and sour ones, you know. Once you got them made up and they're in the freezer, there is endless possibilities. Because you can always buy the ones from the in the freezer section at your grocery store. But why if you don't have to? Okay? Why should you go and buy those when you can make perfectly delicious ones yourself? Make them the way you want to make them, and they turn out amazing every single time. And they do. Okay? Just make them exactly how you want to. Don't put in the onions and bell peppers if you don't want those in there. There's endless ways to make your own meatballs. And because you made them, they're going to be better. Right? And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. Gigi would love to have you over here. Okay? Absolutely would love it. Gigi's always doing something in this kitchen. If there's something that you want me to make, put it down in the description bar. I read every single comment. Okay? I read them all. And I'll see it. If you put it in there, I'll see it. And if you want me to make more freezer meals, let me know. I've got an array. Anything to save a old mama some time in the kitchen, let me tell you, because my kids, the way I raised them, you know, a lot of kids like to have McDonald's and all that food out. No, my kids never did. If they wanted Chinese food, if they wanted cheeseburgers, they said, Mom, hey, can you? So let's see what we got in there. I've had to do some improvising over the years. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have to improvise sometimes because you don't have everything that the kids are asking for on hand. But trust me when I say, we can definitely figure some stuff out. Okay? And as far as how big you want these to be, is completely and totally up to you. I just take a pinch. Okay? I just take a pinch, make a little ball with it, and we're going to bake these. So they're going to be as healthy can be, okay? And we're just going to bake them. And we're going to bake them on 350 for about an hour, depending on your oven, for about an hour. And then when we're done cooking them, we're going to put these little yummies right on in the freezer. Okay? So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to get these in the pan, get these finished rolled up, and I'll be right back. All right, here we go. We were able to get 60 meatballs. Okay, I spread them out a little bit. And then I'm just going to cover them up, put them in the oven, and cook them for about an hour. Depending on your oven, 350, 1 hour. Come back and show you what she looks like. All right, we got the meatballs out. I just divided those up into 2 bags because once they're good and frozen, you can take out what you need as you need it. Okay? And I've told you a few ways to make them. I've got a few in my videos. Look under the appetizers, underneath the playlist, and you'll see some. All right, freezer meals, here we go. Okay, I put these meatballs in here, and yes, they are frozen. I just took them straight out the freezer. I'm going to make mine a sweet and sour. I'm going to use these pineapples. I'm going to cut them up. And then this sweet and sour sauce. That's what we're going to do to make these meatballs. You can absolutely do them with barbecue sauce as well. You can do them any way you want to. I'll be right back. All right, a real simple recipe to use those frozen meatballs. We're going to go in with that sweet and sour sauce. I'm going to use both of these because you want juice. Well, I want juice to go over my rice, or my kids might even use noodles. Completely up to what your family wants to use. Like I said, you can also do these with barbecue sauce. I've got an Asian recipe on there. You can use it a million ways, okay? So I'm going to also use that pineapple juice, which is not very much. It's about 1/4 of a cup. I'm going to pour some into this container here. Shake it up and get the rest. You can use water, but you got that pineapple juice, and we're going to put it in there anyway. So why not use it to shake it up? Okay? But you can absolutely use water. Nothing wrong with that. It's just that we're going to use the pineapple juice anyway. I'm going to use all that pineapple juice because this is a sweet and sour. And again, I'm going to use that pineapple juice. I'm also going to use some of that pineapple from that can. And look, and now you got plenty of juice. And again, we were going to use that pineapple juice anyway. Okay? So now I'm going to go in with, I would say, about 1/2 cup of those pineapples. Completely up to you how much you want to use or not use at all. I just cut up a few of them. My daughter will finish the rest of those up. Okay? And then just give her a zhuzh. Put it in the oven. We're going to put her in there on 350 for about 30 minutes. And dinner be ready. That's it. And those meatballs are done. Freezer meals do come in handy because if you didn't have it already prepared and in the freezer, you'd have to make up the meatballs. You'd have to cook them a little bit, you know. And this way, we don't have to do anything else. Just mix this stuff up and put it in the oven. I'm going to cover it up with foil. I'm going to put it in there, 350 for about 30 minutes. The meatballs are cooked through because we've already cooked them. So they're just heating through and enjoying those flavors marrying together. She'll be done. I'll be back. And then there she is, fresh out the oven, over rice, over noodles, or any way you want to make her. There's our sweet and sour meatballs. Just an idea of what to do with those meatballs.
Are you ready for phase 1?
All right, it's time for our next freezer meal. And we're going to be making sheet pan chicken fajitas. The only thing you don't see here is lime. And I'm going to add the lime when I'm ready to cook it. You can absolutely put it in here now, but I'm not going to put it in as part of the freezer meal part. All right, so that's about 60 chicken tenders. And that is 6 bell peppers, 2 of the orange, 2 of the yellow, 2 of the red. They're in there. And then that is 2 whole red onions. All right, so we're going to mix this up and get it going. I'll be right back. All right, the only other thing that I didn't show you was the extra virgin olive oil. I just thought about that. So we will be using extra virgin olive oil. Any brand you have will do. And I'm going to put in, I would say, 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil. All right. You can add more. It won't hurt it. This is going to help you with your juices. We're going to put in a good 4 tablespoons of the cumin. We're going to do the same with the ancho chili powder. I think, let me break that up a little bit. It's almost gone. Let's go ahead and put the rest of that in there. So that's about 4 tablespoons. Well, actually, that was more like 2. But I'm also going to use the chili lime. And that's going to be my other 2. You don't have to mix up the chili powders. Any chili powder you have will do. And then we're going to do the same with the smoked paprika. About 4 tablespoons of that or so. Not measuring. We also want to go ahead and go in with all of our onions. Put that out of the way. Our onions and our bell peppers. And then we're just going to give this a good mix. I'll be right back. Now this particular one that we're making here, we're not going to cook this in advance. We're going to leave it just like this. We're going to put it in the freezer like this. And what's going to happen is all those flavors are going to marry in there. And let me tell you, they are going to be absolutely amazing. Okay? And this is one of those dishes what I like to do with my freezer meals is I like to take them out the night before, put them in the refrigerator. That way they can go ahead and thaw on out. And then the next day I come in and I make whatever it is. Okay? Which is real easy. And this dish is simply easy. I mean, you can't beat it. You put it on a sheet pan, 30 minutes on 400, she's done. Okay? 30 minutes on 400, she's done. And this is done. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put it in some Ziplocs. I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. And I was able to get 3 bags. Now, if you're feeding less family members, if it's only 2 or 3 of you, you can cut these bags actually in half. But at least 6 people are going to eat from these bags each time I make them. And like I've told you before, I cook on the weekends for my whole week. So, yeah, this is going to come in handy. Sheet pan meals. You can't beat it. You cannot. All right. I'm going to make you another one. And now you might need to mark that yours is raw if you are first time doing this, or you may not be able to remember. You might want to mark on here that this is raw, so you have to cook it from scratch. So like I said, 400 for about 30 minutes. You want an internal temperature of 165 on that chicken. Some tortillas or even some rice. Absolutely delicious. Okay, on to the next. All right, here we go. Our sheet pan chicken fajitas. I've got them on a sheet pan, as you can see. We're going to put them in the oven, 400, for about 30 minutes. If you need to check the temperature on the chicken, you want it to be at least 165, all right? And it'll be done. And there she is, fresh out of the oven after 30 minutes. You can put her over rice. You can put her in a flour tortilla, whatever you want to do. Perfect.